You've probably never touched a quantum computer. But today, maybe an hour ago, you used quantum mechanics anyway. It's been sitting in your pocket, on your desk, and in hospitals for longer than your parents have been alive. Not because everything is technically made of atoms. That's true, but it's not the point. These are machines that only work because of a quantum effect with no classical explanation. 3 of them, in particular, have been changing your life since before quantum computers existed. Start with the one inside every phone, laptop, and chip on Earth: the transistor. In 1947, at Bell Labs, John Bardeen and Walter Brattain, working under William Shockley, built the first one. It's basically a tiny switch. But why it can switch at all comes straight out of quantum mechanics. Electrons in a solid aren't free to have just any energy, icons pathetic being Mosage. They're locked into specific allowed bands, with forbidden gaps in between. Julian Tanquin Minstit Partinul Fit Ear Pacuatage. A semiconductor is a material where that gap is just small enough to control. Nudge it with a voltage, and you flip a switch a billion times a second. Do that with a few billion switches, and you get a phone. It won them the 1956 Nobel Prize in Physics. And it's the quantum trick every computer on the planet is built from. That's one. Here's a stranger one, something that shouldn't exist at all, according to Einstein. In 1917, Einstein worked out the math for a process called stimulated emission. Hit an excited atom with the right photon, and it doesn't just glow randomly. It releases a second photon, identical, moving in lockstep with the first. Chain that reaction across trillions of atoms, and you get a beam of light so pure, it barely spreads out, even across a room. Einstein never built one. It took until 1960, when Theodore Maiman fired the first working laser, a ruby crystal, at Hughes Research Labs. 43 years from prediction to device. Now it's in your barcode scanner, your fiber optic internet, and the surgeon's tools down the hall. Quick myth check. None of this took $1 billion lab or a science fiction budget. It happened in a transistor radio, a supermarket scanner, a doctor's office. But here's the one that might surprise you most, because this one is inside a hospital, reading a property of your own atoms that has no everyday name. It's called spin. Every hydrogen nucleus in your body, and you're mostly water, behaves like a tiny magnet. And quantum mechanics only allows it to point in one of 2 directions inside a strong magnetic field. Felix Bloch and Edward Purcell discovered this in 1946 and shared a Nobel Prize for it. They called it nuclear magnetic resonance. For decades, it stayed a lab curiosity for chemists. Then, in the 1970s, Paul Lauterbur and Peter Mansfield figured out how to turn that same signal into a picture, slice by slice, right through living tissue, without a single X-ray. That work won its own Nobel for medicine this time, not physics. The same quantum property, twice recognized, 30 years apart. So here's the truth hiding under all 3 stories. The chip in your pocket, the laser in your fiber line, the scanner in your hospital. Their agent Spertermostibes. None of them are new, and none of them needed a marketing department's glowing blue orb. Physicists sometimes call this the first quantum revolution, the decades when we learned quantum rules well enough to quietly build with them, before anyone even called it quantum technology. The quantum computers you keep hearing about? They're the second wave. The one just getting started. But quantum physics didn't wait for permission to change your life. It already did. 60, 70 years ago. You've been living in the quantum age the whole time.